Hello, welcome everyone. Jen Gilchrist here. Super excited to be doing this monthly energy reading for you all so that you can really support you in going through October and aligning with your highest and best path. You know, these readings will really, when we go week by week like this, we'll get guidance from, we're going to use oracle cards, but I also read very intuitively to bring through messages to support you in, navigating the current energy and being aware of what pitfalls you might hit, right? Just so that you have the empowerment to be able to change that or to plan for it in a way, right? Giving you next steps oftentimes. So this month, October, we have a lot going already on an astrological level. I'm not an astrologer, but I definitely do like to follow the current energies. And I know we're in a really big Mercury retrograde right now, which can be a lot around just making that time and space for yourself all the way through October 18th. But even after that, there's a bit of a shadow period that we'll be integrating, right? So just giving that time and space to reflect, review, release, receive, right? Making time for those divine feminine type, for your divine feminine energy, right? Whether you're male or female, it's about giving that space to relax and retreat and utilize that time to review things in your life, right? And it can actually be a really powerful time. It's important to pay attention to the fact of just being clear in your communications with others as well. Sometimes things can be misheard, mistaken. So just give that extra time to be grounded, to be present as you go along through the month. This month, as a quick announcement, I always have a workshop series bundle that is a special for everyone. And so this month, October workshop is Transform Your Relationship Dynamics. And we're going to be working a lot with the karmic patterns, soul contracts, bringing all of those agreements into present time, really teaching you my 4-step forgiveness method, as well as other ways that you can really get to the root cause of clearing out the unhealthy patterns that are not supporting you, that you're being called to learn a lesson from or transform through in some way, so that you can stop the harmful effects of them and really move into a more empowered place. So that workshop's special for those that are new to me. And even those that aren't, right? You guys know I do this every month, but the month flies by. So just being aware that October, the first Tuesday through Thursday of each month, you get an early bird special pricing, a flash sale price of just $37. And then the rest of the month, you can still purchase it at $57, which is still a great deal. It's easily a $197 value. I can share more about that at the end, but just giving you that heads up that this workshop series felt very powerful to help you in releasing some of those karmic patterns and soul contracts that are not really serving your highest and best good, right? So you can really get the most connectedness and love out of your relationships and in your life. So that's enough on that topic. So I felt called to work with the Goddess deck. We'll dive into the reading now. And I'm going to do this, how I do this is just week by week. So we're going to start with looking at the week of, well, we'll start since it's a Friday the 1st. We'll go all the way through next week. So the first, October 1st through 10th is how we'll look at this one, okay? So let's get some messages to support you. And let me know who's here. I always like to engage whether I see you live or on the replay. Go ahead and let me know that you're here. Comment how it's going for you, how it resonates. I'd love to hear. So the first card I have, so we have 4 cards for this row. So the first one I'm seeing is Artemis, and it says, you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. So a couple things are showing up because I really do read mostly intuitively. So of course, take that message at face value. Just that reminder that you're never truly alone. I love supporting people and connecting and being able to communicate with their spiritual support team and leaning into that faith and trust and guidance for sure. So definitely that's present, but a couple of things that I'm seeing her, a bow and arrow. I'm seeing that deer, right? Which for me, the deer, what's popping up as a spirit message is like a pathfinder, right? Of helping you to see your path. So what I'm seeing out of this intuitively is just really keep your eye focused on your bigger vision. Keep your eye focused on what it is you want to create in your life, in your business, in your relationships, whatever you're working on. It is just keeping that steady focus and your eye on the prize. And it feels like there could be a sense for some of you that maybe it hasn't been super clear. And that it looks like the light at the end of the tunnel here, like you're going to start to have some clarity. But just be mindful of the fact that, especially in this current energy and present time for the next couple of weeks, it might be the space of getting the clarity still, right? You still might be moving through that, but just noticing that that is on the horizon. It's important to keep taking that 1 or 2 steps at a time. And then I also see the fire, which is just reminding me of just burning up, right? It's like clearing the karma, clearing the limiting beliefs, burning old, kind of, I just see that as a releasing. Right, so giving your time, which makes perfect sense in the present time with the retrograde energy of just releasing and letting go of the old, and that's what's not serving you, and really bringing those, being cognizant of your mindset, being cognizant of the patterns in your life with others, right? Being aware of, perhaps for some of you might be working on relationship with money or with yourself or with source, right? With a person. So however that applies to you, keep your eye on the prize. Feels like many of you are really aligning with your higher soul's path and purpose, and that might be for many of you what's coming into focus. And so yeah, take that as you will. And then Pele, divine passion, be honest with yourself. What is your true heart's desire? And I love this because I think during this retrograde time, and really I'm a proponent of a morning routine that includes some form of meditation and journaling every day. And it's interesting because 2 of the cards here have questions that could be great prompts for you. So be honest with yourself. What is it you truly desire? So this is about really connecting with your passion and your creativity, allowing your passion and creativity to be present in your life, in your work, in your relationships, right? How can you bring more of that? If you're trying to gain clarity on what it is your next steps are or your purpose is, allow your passion to be your signpost, right? You want to be following and making space for you to follow your true heart's desires. And so having that inquiry, what is it that I truly desire? What do I want to experience more of in my life or in my business? Those types of questions will start to allow you to fine tune the alignment with yourself so that you can enjoy what it is you're creating. Trust your path. It says you knew you would, if you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? So this is really calling you into, recognizing, some of the burning off of the karma and the mindset I saw was, where are you limiting yourself, right? So what is it that you really desire, and what would you do if you were totally supported? And that you can look at that from the perspective of, are you making excuses like, well, if I had more money, I would do this, or if I had more time, I would do this, or if I, thought that my business idea would work, or I had a team to support me, I would do this. Like noticing where are you limiting yourself by saying you need something in order to take action, or there's an outside reason why you're not taking action or why you can't have what you want, right? So if you knew you were fully supported, what would you do? And start to really open up that curiosity of how can you give it to yourself, right? How can you shift yourself into alignment with allowing yourself to receive that support? Sometimes we're being called to take that leap of faith, kind of gamble on ourselves in a sense. And when we leap, the net will appear. And we start with the baby steps, right? With the small things from day to day. And as we begin to trust ourselves in that process, right? Take that leap of faith because we're leaping in the direction of our heart's desires and our soul's calling. But then having that trust to be able to take the action sometimes before we know how it's all going to be figured out, right? Before that security is really important. Otherwise, we can keep ourselves stuck if we need the proof before we can take action sometimes. So just be aware of that, trusting yourself, trusting your path. And own your divine power. Replace codependent people-pleasing with assertiveness and empowerment. And so own your divine power. I'm seeing this in 2 ways. First thing I was just speaking to a moment ago is what I really love supporting people with, right? You'll notice if you followed me for any length of time, all of my programs, to some different degrees will revolve around building your intuition, trusting your intuition, taking leaps of faith, right? When we can have the courage and confidence to know that you are supported, right? To go after your higher soul's calling or those things that you really desire in your heart. And we communicate with the universe and with God, with source, right? With our angels and guides, we can trust our intuition to guide us the 1 or 2 steps at a time. It's empowering. We don't have to have it all figured out, right? This is where we can get out of our head and open up to those miracles that are all around us. So to me, own your power, in some ways, is about own your divine creative power, right? Your conscious creation abilities within you, and release yourself from those limitations that are holding you back, right? Which are really fears on some level. And so sometimes we might need to do that inner work a little bit to clear those out. But then this also very specifically speaks to codependent people pleasing, assertiveness, and empowerment. And so that's interesting for those of you that feel called in that way. This workshop bundle, you can't make it up, right? It just always works out. I always read the energy intuitively for the month, usually a month. Like in September, I looked at what I was going to do for October. And so it's interesting that this card came up, right? Because sometimes those relationship patterns that we have in our life, stem back to family, to past lives perhaps, and they really do create blocks in our life and our business. We haven't cleaned up codependency. It could show up in why we're not allowing our business to grow, because we may not want to be giving away more than we're receiving in what you're charging for your sessions, right? So there's many different ways that our personal inner growth really directly impacts our success in other areas of our life. And so, yeah, just noticing, where are you feeling victim or overgiving, or where is it in a polarity of a dynamic that you want to shift, and just get some presence to it, get some awareness on it, because that's always the first step. And if you feel called to that, then you might want to check out, I'll put the link in here at some point, or just drop workshop in the comment, and I can come back when it goes on sale next week. It releases next Tuesday, and it's all about transforming your relationship dynamics and clearing out those codependencies and patterns and things like that we sometimes have blind spots to. Let's go ahead to the next week, looking at the week of October 11th through 17th. And one thing I did want to note as well, in that first week, October 6th, we have a new moon. So that is also a time where sometimes we have more intuition, where we can trust our intuition more fully, and where we should be making space to kind of, well, it would benefit. I try not to should on ourselves, right? But just having the benefit of making a space to hear our intuition, to hear our guidance, and to trust what intuitive insights come through. And when we give that space to daydream and journal, it's really a way for our soul to be talking to us, and our angels and guides to give us next steps and insights as well, right? And so just making sure that you can use that energy if you want to on the 6th of October as a great way to birth something new, right? Birth your heart's desire. So moving on to the 11th through 17th. Feeling the goddess energy, probably because we're being called into our own divine feminine aspects a bit this month. Interesting. Okay. So the first two are goddess deck, and it says, Sekhmet, be strong. You are stronger than you think you are, and your strength assures a happy outcome. Okay, this is great, because I only pull these as we go, right? It's kind of reiterating a lot of what we just talked about. So this is kind of the monthly theme. You're stronger than you think, and your strength assures a happy outcome. So this is really just validating, right? Just to really own, really validating the divine power that you are, the divine power that you are within you, that you have within you, the support you have, just really validating a lot of your ideas, I want to say, but also reminding you that you're strong and very capable, and you have so much, you have the information within you. And I know sometimes when we're making big steps and transitions, it can feel like maybe even frustrating. It's like, I know, but I can't see it, right? And that's kind of where our fears and our limitations are driving our creation process. So we do want to take time for that inner work and reflection. But this is just really a reminder that you are powerful, and your strength ensures a happy outcome. So when you can stay focused with your eye on that prize, and stay committed to your vision, and stay connected to your truth in that way, and to remembering how powerful you are, leaning into your spiritual support team for guidance, big things will happen, right? That's where your happiness will lie. And it says leaps of faith. So we were just talking about this, right? It says take a risk and put your heart's true desire into action. And I love how, if I'm reading it in order, it's right underneath, what is your heart's desire? And if I'm looking downward in that column, it has to do with putting it into action. And it might be taking a leap of faith. And this is where I love teaching people to cultivate their communication with their spirit team or their own intuition through my courses and programs, and even the workshops sometimes, because this is where you get to not have to have it all figured out, right? Sometimes we can get stuck in being frozen, having to have all the answers figured out, or wanting to have a sure thing. Chances are it's never going to be that way, right? Especially in entrepreneurial world. It just requires trusting yourself and taking leaps of faith oftentimes, but you don't have to do it blindly. You don't have to do it alone, right? You do it through these trusting your intuition, through trusting your guidance, through clarifying what you truly desire, and then knowing that whatever you desire is available to you, right? But you have to have the commitment and the courage to go after it. And then you employ your spiritual support team to guide you, right? And to help you, and they will. Yes, just say yes. I love it. And so it's interesting because reading it almost kind of how, the cards go, but this goes right under trust your path, right? Trust your path. If you didn't know how you'd be supported, what would you do? And this says, just say yes. Just say yes to yourself. Don't worry about the how. It's not your job. Hand over the how. I can just hear the angels and guides like, get out of your own way. Move out of that fear. Trust us. Lean into your support. And then play. It says have fun, celebrate, and don't be too serious, right? The spiritual work can be serious business sometimes. And I know it can be a lot overwhelming for sure, especially when we're confronted with a lot of feelings we may have been stuffing down, or patterns that we might be a part of where we've been giving away our power to another or something like that. But definitely this is like bring more play into your life, bring some fun, lighten up a little bit. You know, not every decision, not every launch, not every thing has to be all perfect and in place. Like when you're committed to the long haul of just aligning with your higher path and purpose, you actually in that way, it's okay, right? We're going to learn, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to fail, we're going to get better, we're going to try it again, we're going to adjust things, right? But we want to have fun along the process, because that's a big part of our path. Oh yay, I can see comments now. Letting go of the old. We're at 20 years almost exactly, and it's finally leaving. That's super exciting. Okay, so I'm looking now. I can see Facebook. Hey Petra, Margarita, Elizabeth, Leslie, good afternoon. Super happy to have you guys here. Okay, so let's move on to the next week. Okay, so we're going to go on to the week of October 18th, which is actually the day Mercury goes direct, depending on where you're at in the world, give or take a day, right? But October 18th, and then there's always a shadow period though. And actually, when I've paid attention to astrologers, they tend to say that there could be a good few weeks of integration to follow. There's a lot of shifts. There's, I think, like 6 planets retrograde some at different points throughout this month. So there's a lot of reflective, reviewing, releasing, realigning type of energy. But when the idea is to work with the energy, right? If we fight against it and try to just push through things, we will miss the benefit of what's available. That's why I'm saying make enough time to retreat inward. Okay, beautiful. So now I've got the dragon oracles. And this week, I believe on the 20th is the full moon. So this is going to be a releasing time. So we set our intentions for the new moon on around the 6th, right? And then we're starting forward a new cycle. And then the full moon is the opportunity to notice and reflect on, right? Because the retrogrades are always going to help you reflect and revise and make things better and release what's in the way, right? So if we can be in the position of being in our power, we're going to take the feedback of what's happening if it's not working out well, which can sometimes be frustrating or painful or whatever, right? If we see that, I think if we can take the position of, oh, thank you for revealing this to me, this needs to be let go of, or thank you for showing this to me, right? Like using it as information, then you can be in your power, take responsibility for it and move on, right? You can clear it. So use that information because it's going to show you everything that's between you and what you asked for. Expect that. Expect that the blocks were going to bubble up. Every time we set a new intention, what we ask for that's not aligned is going to show up so that we can clear it, so that we can have it. Right? And so when we look at it from that perspective, we're really owning our power as that conscious creator. And when we work with our spiritual support team, we're actually inviting in that faith and trust. Miracles can happen much more quickly, okay, and easily and fun way. So lots of shifting and releasing. Yes. Okay, so crystal yellow dragon opens you to higher learning and wisdom. Expand your crown chakra for illumination and walk your higher spiritual path. So this is basically it's basically saying, I feel like this month is an opportunity for elevation, right? For elevating your mindset, for elevating your energy, for elevating and expanding your dreams. Where are you playing small, right? It just feels like a whole level of like the opportunity for up leveling is here for you. And you've probably been asking for more in some area of your life, if not many areas, right? And so the opportunity is there. And your crown chakra is, that communication between yourself and your higher self information. Right. And so in that way, it's your knowing, it's your clarity a lot of times. So spending time, clearing out some of that energy and really focusing on connecting with your higher self information is going to be important. Going to be very supportive at very minimum, right? So dusky pink dragon from Andromeda prepares all of your chakras to embody higher love. Accept and radiate higher love. Touch others with its flame. Oh, I love this one, right? And so I think this is what we are really doing. We're really stepping more into divine love, into that unity consciousness, into, we're elevating ourselves individually, opening our hearts to love, right? The inner work that we're doing individually helps the collective, right? And then as a collective, I think we're noticing, sometimes we're seeing the divide or the division or the judgments coming up first. But again, it's because we actually are moving collectively into a raising of a vibration. A higher consciousness is being called forth. So everything that's misaligned is showing up, and on a global scale, it's shown up big time in the last while here. And so really the best thing we can do is individually take care of our own self and energy, and then we're the micro within the macro, and then collectively it starts to help to have that ripple effect around. But ultimately we're about embodying higher love, that unity, that love, and releasing judgments of ourselves and others, right? And so that's really powerful. The water dragon helps you to flow around obstacles. Christ light and love are flowing. Develop your psychic abilities and go with the flow. So this is powerful. So yeah, I love this, right? And water. So again, the first thing I'm hearing, like on an intuitive level, is it is making sure that you have a balance in your life of your divine feminine actions and then your masculine, right? We need both. Your feminine energy is that rest, it's that retreat, it's that intuition, meditation, journaling, using your intuitive gifts, tuning into having the space for you to connect with yourself so you can hear your guidance. And then, of course, we have to step into the masculine energy, which is more of that action taking, right? It's that taking our inspiration, our intuition into motion. And so we do need both, but this is definitely feeling like a month where we want to be heavily weighted, or at least allowing a lot of space for that internal reflection, pause time to take action from, right? And to just flow with what's happening. And like I was talking to earlier, when you recognize that there are blocks or catastrophes or however it shows up in your life, right? That doesn't necessarily feel good. Just seeing that as like just being flexible, accepting what is, and just noticing, oh, what's my part in that? That's interesting. Okay, what do I hear? Why is this showing up? How can I use this as a learning? Right? That's super empowering, because then we can move through it very, very quickly. Hey, Linda, Christina, good to have you here. So the last one for this week. Oh, and then the other thing says develop your psychic abilities and go with the flow. So I love this, how this came up, because this is for the week of the 18th through 24th. And on October 25th, I actually teach my free masterclass series again. So it is about developing your psychic abilities. So if you're feeling called to that, you can also put amplify in the comments. And we'll keep an eye, because I'm running this on YouTube and Facebook, for how to join us for that free 4-day series. And I will probably update the comments or details section or something at some point, so that you guys can just get the information on your own, but we're not quite promoting it yet. But I love how this says develop your psychic abilities, and Christ-light healing, because one of the days is around Christ-light healing, actually. And so that's actually what we're doing that following week. So that perfectly goes in line, if you're interested in that. And then Orange Gold Dragon from Arcturus says, open your knowledge for the golden age, carry the energy of the future, and be a guiding light. And so this is really calling you into your leadership. It's calling you into really also a validation. I think you've had several validation cards, right? That you're stronger than you know, that what you have is powerful and valuable, and your ideas are soul guided and soul led. And so this is about really asking you to step into your leadership, right? It's really calling you out and into your purpose work. Like many of you, I feel know. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel called? Do you feel called? Do you know there's something more? Do you know you have a gift to share? Whether you know what that is or not, if you do, share it, because I'd love to hear. What is your purpose and gift, right? Or do you just feel like you know there is, but you're not sure what it looks like yet, right? You can let me know that too, right? You're looking and you're on your path for it. Well, this is really calling you into committing to that, right? Some of us might even feel a little bit of an alarm clock going off. Maybe we're called into the next level if you're already doing your purpose work, right? But definitely it is about, and I think no matter what, it always starts with us working with our own energy. And that's why our own personal spiritual growth, healing is that ascension journey is always going to be imperative and directly relate to the success that we have in other areas of our life, right? And so as we first tend our own needs and our own healing and our own light, that's first and foremost how we can help humanity. And then from there, many of us are called to actually share in another way as well, right? Makes sense? Yes, awesome, amazing. We'll definitely join again. Yes, it's always different, right? Because different groups of people. I always up-level myself. Things to actually this time I do have, for those of you that have done my 4-day Amplify Your Channeling, Healing, and Clairvoyant Abilities, I've got some new things coming. We got some new additions coming. So if you've done it in the past, you'll still likely love it again, because there's some new additions coming for you for sure. Okay. So, and let's see, my life is a mess and I'm trying to fix things and help others at the same time. I know. Well, and here's the thing, it's kind of twofold. Sometimes it's about we have to pause and take care of ourselves at certain points of our life before we can have the space and energy to give to another, right? We don't want to give from an empty cup, or that's usually going to be not helping anybody too well, right? Sometimes it's about pausing and what do I need? Now I can help again. That being said, we don't have to be perfectly healed and all figured out before we can help others. We all are going to have spiritual lessons and things in life that we're going to continue to have and show up, right? Myself included, along the way. It's just part of our journey. We're always creating and moving and evolving, right? And so we don't have to be perfect to be able to be of service. And if we're at a crash point, we may have to pause and reflect on what our needs are. And it doesn't have to be for a long time sometimes, right? And sometimes if you're on the earlier stage of your journey, for some of you watching, it is sometimes the first part of your purpose work. You might be asking for your purpose work, but maybe there's more inner work that has to be done before to clear the space to be able to step into it, right? But don't let that fool you to think that you have to be perfectly figured out before you can help and serve others, because I have my lessons all the time too, and yet I'm still able to serve others, right? And yet there are times where you might need to pull back and focus on you. So let me know how that resonates. Okay, let's look at the last week of October. So this is going to be the October 25th through 30th. Let's see here. All right, we got 5 for this one. And it's I love how the cards just start popping out pretty much it's like we already, like preemptively, right, coming out with what we already need to know. So it's kind of just a big flow. The first card is the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? And actually, Oracle cards, Oracle cards typically don't necessarily have reversals, but I am noticing in this space that it was reversed. And so I kind of see that as the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? So it feels like, some of you guys might be resisting letting go of something that you're being called, right? So what I would just say is take advantage of this time this month. Welcome all the crap that bubbles up, right? Lean back and go, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I have something to work with. Now I have something to clean up. Now I can see where I was unconscious before to blocking myself. See it as an opportunity. And just notice where you might be holding on to things or people or situations out of fear, right? Recognize that. And then for the other half of you, I'm feeling like, oh, but you're coming out on the other side. It kind of reminds me, it looked like the Tower card in tarot, right? It kind of, where there's nothing to be afraid of. We're all going to have them, but we're only going to cause ourselves pain and suffering when we hold on or resist what is. So welcome whatever shows up, deal with it along the way, get the support that you need, and reevaluate what are you clinging on to and what are you letting go of. So if you're in that, if you find yourself still in that space, reflect on that. And I think if you set yourself up this month, since we're in the beginning of the month right now, in the retrograde still, with enough reflective time asking these types of questions, you can shortcut your time through it and likely have a lot less quote unquote pain and suffering along the way, right? Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? So that pretty much goes on the tail of the last card for the previous week, right? So these are great journaling prompts if you want to even take note. But how are you being called to step up and lead? And so this is where, again, making space for that. Some of that's a great journaling question. How, what message, how can I be of service today is a great one. Just tuning in and asking that, setting the intention that your angels and guides give you the signs. How can I be of best service today? What message wants to be shared through me today? How am I being called to step up and lead, maybe differently than I currently am, or at the next level, right? And perhaps you'll find that you've been procrastinating on doing a video, a Facebook video, writing a blog. Maybe you're coming on a spiritual closet. You don't know what people are going to think, right? All these different fears can come up, but just noticing, again, that's where it's like, well, what are you holding on to? Fear of what other people think, judgment of others, right? Those kinds of things. Rite of passage, crossing the threshold. So this is, I love this actually, because it kind of goes from that little doorway to that big doorway. When I saw that earlier too, the light kind of illuminating. So this says the initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. And so this is really, really powerful, right? It's a good validation. And so sometimes the initiation is like where we're cleaning out that last layer of gunk, at least for this level. Because again, going to be continual evolution, but it is saying that, you are kind of clearing out like the sediment. Sometimes we have sediment, and sometimes it can be frustrating because we're like, didn't we clear this up already? And likely you did. to the degree that you could, right? And then now we're being called to go a little deeper. Perhaps in this retrograde, you might be revealing some things that are either new or maybe revisiting past patterns and past relationships that you thought you cleared up, but maybe there's a little bit more to go. If it's showing up, there's a little bit more to go, right? And there's no judgment on yourself about that, but it is important that we do the work, right? And that this is just and that you're just crossing over. So I feel like this is an encouragement ultimately that, hey, you're right there. Don't give up right before the miracle occurs. Keep going, keep going, keep going, right? And take a break. It says a life's work is not a season. Get off the treadmill. And so this comes into play where we've had a few cards in there, about maybe bringing more passion or creativity into your work, adding play into your life or routine. How can you, if you are feeling that treadmill of life, again, this is a call for that internal feminine. How can I retreat, rest, pamper, meditate, all of those things to give to myself? Where am I pushing too hard, right? And it might be time to kind of go into alignment. And the other thing I want to say is it says it's a life's work, not a season. And this is really important. If we put the pressure on each launch or each this or each project or each whatever along the way, well, we will be disappointed and we'll throw in the towel, right? And the reality is we're always going to grow and evolve and get better and improve things. It's all part of the journey, right? Your first time doing a video is not going to be your best video. Not, but you're never going to get good at it until you try. And likely with the same, every time I run a program, I look at, well, how can I improve, or what things are coming up? Things will show up sometimes more than others. And I'm like, okay, there's a leak. How do we fix the technology, right? Oh, let's upgrade this. Oh, how can we make this more streamlined, right? Where can I add more value? So you're always upgrading, and yet you can still give a lot of value along the way. And if you don't give yourself permission to fail or permission to not be perfect, you'll never get started. And that's really just the ego and fear stopping you, right? But this is also kind of leaning into about push mode. So anyways, that was sort of a side tangent that I felt called. The other one says Air Dragon helps you rise above earthly matters, communicate honestly, brings inspiration and hope, and see life from a higher perspective. And this is what I love, right? A lot of what I teach in my Soul Success Unleashed program is about getting into your spiritual center of neutrality, your clairvoyance, your higher self information. All of that is really able to pull you into that bird's eye view, right? It's pulling out of the ego's mind and fears and the drama and the flurry of what is, and it allows you to step back and see a higher vantage point so that you can move forward, right? So you can see the root of a situation, so that you can let go of the struggle, let go of holding on to whatever it is, and just kind of go, okay, I'm not going to be in resistance. What am I being called to do, right? Instead of what are we holding on to? So I think, and it does say communicate honestly, and so that's another thing, since relationships is kind of a theme just in October in general, Libra season, is a lot about balancing relationship harmony, right? I know in my annual reading, I think that came up as well. And that's partly where as I was tuning into the energy, I chose the topic for this month's monthly workshop to be relationship dynamics and how to clear out the soul contract and patterns and karmic things at that core level and get to the root of it, right? Because I think this is going to be a big thing. So when you are going to communicate, take a pause first, right? Take a beat, think about it, make sure it's coming out the way you want it to. You might have to ground it first. You might have to contemplate it first, especially if it's a touch topic with someone. But I feel like also you're being called to communicate honestly, right? Whether that is having a boundary or whether that is speaking your truth. And it could even be speaking a vulnerable truth, right? It could be about, creating closer intimacy with somebody that requires you to be vulnerable, right? And soften in your communication. But it does say communicate honestly. And also to see life from a higher perspective. So I feel like there's some double meanings there. So just, I guess, recognize what comes up, because you're likely going to be integrating that into action. You're going to be asked to take action based on what lights up for you in October as well. And I know there's eclipses coming up too. I don't know exactly if one of these moons is or not. I forgot to check that ahead of time. But yeah, I don't have that information in this moment. I'm not an astrologer, but I do follow it. But those are coming, I think, maybe right after, perhaps that's coming into November, right? So it's going to be kind of like a little bit of a ride, and we want to just buckle up and be aware, and we don't want to have knee-jerk reactions that we'll regret later, and then that just keeps us stuck in the pattern, right? So it's about how present can you be and honest can you be and grounded can you be in your communication with others, whether that means taking a stand or whether that means seeing within yourself you're part of a pattern that maybe you're being stubborn and seeing it one way, and maybe there's multiple ways to view something. So really just taking to heart. So yes, let me see here. I'm sorry, the things are going kind of fast. Okay, you guys, I have to come back to Facebook, I think. So I'm trying a new platform because I can stream on YouTube and Facebook and different groups, and I want to see how it goes. And but the thing is, I don't see it on my screen. I got to figure out how to do that. So I'm looking at my phone. Anywho, so those are the main topics there. One thing I do want to mention for the workshop series, anybody that's in a live group program with me, right, whether that's my Soul Success Unleashed program, my Soul Success Unleashed Mastery Certification, or the Soul Aligned Purpose Driven Business Group, you guys are getting that as a bonus. So I want to just remind you guys, you don't have to purchase the relationship workshop. That's part of your program bonus. But anybody else that's interested in it, it's $197 value easily. Each month I do a different theme. I read the energy, I tune in psychically to the current energy of the collective group, and I think what would best serve. And I do a special for 3 days, the first Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for $37. And then it moves to $57 on my website at any time. You can even go back to previous months for $57. And each one has a video training, a journaling workbook, a workbook with often journaling activities in it, as well as other things. Usually there's several meditations and activation journeys. I mean, each one's a little different, but it will consist of a video training, a workbook with some activities and journaling reflections, some meditations. Some of them have multiple meditations and journeys. And then we have a live group aura reading and clearing for anybody that purchases it, right? Whether you're live or replay, I read and move the energy for that topic, right? So that's really high value. Just even the live call in and of itself and is worth a high value. So I put the placement of $197 because that's usually what I would assume live work is part of it. But just know that it's a good deal no matter when you see this video, if it's resonating for you, right? And it is part of the group bonuses for those people, so you don't buy it. If you're looking forward to it, you'll get it Tuesday in your inbox. Okay, so I think that's everything, you guys. I will come back to questions for sure. I think that's everything here. Yep, I think that's beautiful. It looks like a good month. Just give 10 to yourself, love on yourself, give yourself that space and time. Really try to be aware, be the watcher, right, of your ego, of the drama that might ensue. If it does, welcome it and say, thank you, I'm welcoming this. Okay, let's take care of it, right? Where is it in my body? I keep feeling my solar plexus. So I'm just wondering, it could be around giving power struggles, or, different things. Just noticing, where is it for you? What is your lessons? What's your opportunity of healing and growth? Because these are the things that stand between you and what you're asking for, you and your higher path. And so be happy that they showed up for you, right? Accept what is and just say, okay, I'm going to push up my sleeves. I'm going to get real with myself, and I'm going to see, what do I need to do? What is being called for me? What is the opportunity of growth? What am I holding on to? What is being triggered here that I need to really pay attention to healing at that next level, right? So, all right, you guys, I think that's everything. You guys have a wonderful day. You're so welcome. Michaela and Anne. Oh, I love your workshop. Awesome. Super Gad. Okay. Well, it looks great to see you. Oh, total eclipse on December 4th. Okay. Thanks, Susie. Yeah, I was thinking it was after. I just knew they were coming. So I just feel like now is the end of the year. So it's just going to be lighting up some stuff, right? But it's all good. It's all good because now it's a rapid. If we can be grounded through it, if we can get out of our ego and out of our wounding and really be honest with ourselves and give ourselves the time and space to heal if we need to, and really see things from that spiritual perspective and take our power and see what's in it, I think there's going to be a massive opportunity for rapid expansion, really, because this retrograde is lighting up a lot, and then we've got the eclipse season, and then boom. It's like this whole time, just look at it as a transformational container for yourself. And if you do, you're going to start into 2022 with a whole clean slate, right? An up-leveled slate. And it can happen very quickly, but we have to be willing to do the part, and it can sometimes feel a little messy. So, all right, big love to you guys. I look forward to seeing you